Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and in today's video, we will be reviewing Dead Silence. This is a horror movie produced in 2007, which I found quite interesting the first time I watched it. The film has one of the coolest concept horrors ever come up with, but still manages to feel emotionally hollow. Before we get into this, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification icon. Also, there will be a couple of spoilers ahead, but if that does not bother you, let's get right into this. Dead Silence follows a man, the lead character, Jamie Ashin, investigating the sudden death of his wife, Lisa, a mystery which eventually pulls him back into the decaying town of Ravenfair, his hometown. And the hometown apparently is haunted by a cursed ventriloquist spirit, Mary Shaw. The rule of the movie is simple. If you scream, you die. That's it. That's the setup they came up with. And to be honest, it's a really good one because it draws out the suspense in the movie. It acts upon the very nature of man. When you panic, when you get frightened, you scream. So once again, the rule, very simple. You scream, you die. Now let's start with what Dead Silence does right, because there's quite a bit of those. The first is the concept of the movie. This is a horror movie that is built around silence, which makes it eventually and automatically unsettling. The very idea that fear itself becomes deadly when and if you react normally is genuinely clever, to say the least. And that is where this movie shines the most. That silence creates tension better than loud jump scares. And you can feel that intention written all over this movie from start to finish. The sound design is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, and you have the long pauses, the quiet room, soft background noise, moments where you're just waiting for something to go wrong. And usually it does, because there's an eerie silence where everything fades out just before Mary Shaw appears or anytime Mary Shaw is around. Another thing that ticked the box for me is the atmosphere of the movie. The town of Ravensfair feels abandoned, decayed, and just frozen in time. Frozen in time, no development, nothing. In comparison to the bustling life of the city where Jamie and Lisa moved to, there is this gothic production design, muted colors, the constant sense of rot and abandonment all over the city, or let me say all over the town. And all of this works. Even when the story begins to stumble, that vibe actually stayed solid all across the town, from the mortician's house to the motel. The vibe stayed solid. We have the dolls, another key strength of the movie. The design of those dolls, the ventriloquist dolls, actually drove the fear home. They looked odd, they looked creepy, they looked unsettling, and the movie fully leans into that. Their designs were very creepy, and the movie actually tried not to overexpose them, which actually kept the fear intact. Now, we get into the part where Dead Silence starts quietly sabotaging itself. The biggest issue for me were the characters, especially the main character, Jamie. To me, he solely exists more as a vehicle to drive the plot home than an actual person. Yes, we are told he's grieving, we are told he's scared, but we rarely feel it. Probably because there wasn't much backstory or any major character development. If the characters don't feel real, the danger doesn't hit as hard as it should. And this was the case for many of those characters in this movie that went on the kill count. Their deaths felt so plain and had no impact on screen. You have Jamie feeling more like a video game character that's just running from checkpoint to checkpoint, digging up clues along the way, advancing from level to level, just so to meet up with the final boss, the final showdown. Then you have the story and the logic behind it. The movie sets up rules for the curse, which is quite understandable, but goes ahead to bend them whenever it's convenient. It's become a common trope in movies nowadays. We no longer have consistency in the rules and the logic around the plot. We start off with, okay, there's a vengeful spirit after the Ashen bloodline trying to wipe them out because of what was done to Mary Shaw in the past. But then we have some unexplained collateral damage like death, plaguing the entire city of Raven Fair or town of Raven Fair. The movie could not pick a side on who the real targets are. Also, some revelations feel rushed. Others feel under-explained, and by the time the movie starts tying things together, it feels more confusing than clever. It's understandable that yes, movies should have plot twists and all those things, but instead of tension building naturally, the movie starts relying on sudden information dumps, which at that point no longer becomes scary. It's just noisy without spoiling anything. As I earlier mentioned, the twist in Dead Silence is shocking on paper, but emotionally empty in execution. And in this instance, you have your main character who went through hell all through the movie, survived so many things, kept his mouth shut when he witnessed a lot of things, and you have him finally screaming his lungs out when he discovered he got played by Mary Shaw. Ow. Ow. We get it. Not all movies would have a happy ending. But when you have a scenario where the villain comes out on top, don't let it be sloppy. Put some work into it. The ending to me was very, very sloppy. So there you have it, folks. Dead Silence might not be a great horror movie, but I bet you it's a memorable one. It has the atmosphere, a genuinely creepy concept, and flashes of strong horror direction. Although it never fully commits to the emotional depth or narrative clarity that you would desire. But if you enjoy eerie ideas, gothic visuals, and a big fan of James Wan, then this movie is worth revisiting. But if you're looking for some tight storytelling, deeply engaging characters, Dead Silence would leave you feeling exactly like its title suggests, quietly disappointed. Okay, so if you watched this movie when you were younger, or you probably just saw it recently, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Once again, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification icon, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you.